What you have established is that our founding fathers were all woke right by your admission.
If you want to try to fit that square peg in that round hole, by your definition, the founders were woke right.
Well, no, you just conceded that every portion of the definition that you gave applies to the founding fathers, which would include George Washington, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So basically, George Washington is woke right.
Yes.
What's up, folks? We are back again. Okay, so one of the big debates raging on X right now, raging across social media and basically within the MAGA movement in general, is this idea that MAGA has split. And to one side, you have the MAGA diehards, and to the other side, you have the woke right. The woke right, folks. Welcome to the new golden age. And then you have these party poopers, the woke right, and they're not worshiping a presidential candidate. They simply want to know the truth. They actually just want to get to the truth. That's what's going on. So what's kind of started all of this is this great awakening that people have had. This great awakening that people have had due to the fact that more information is coming out, now that there's a little bit less censorship going on social media. And especially after October 7th, people started waking up to realizing that, we're kind of discovering now who actually the globalists are. We're kind of figuring out who the people actually are who run our government. And I can't obviously go into this because we are on YouTube, which is extremely censored. But you know what I'm saying. The people involved starts with the letter J. That's your hint, okay? This is your game show hint. Starts with a J, all right? So that's what's happening. It's an information war that has been lost by the establishment. An information war that has been won by people like NJF, because I can't say his name either. If you know, you know. And others like him. Stu Peters is another one. A lot of people who have been out on the front lines when it was really difficult to talk about these things have now thankfully seen the fruits of their labors. People kind of now have woken up. They realize what's going on. Naturally, as a response to that, the establishment is going to deploy their propagandists in the form of people like James Lindsay, in the form of people like the Misfit Patriot, okay? These are all hardcore MAGA people that we thought 5 years ago were on our side. Turns out, with the discovery of this new information, with the fact that people are waking up in droves, now people are like, you know what? You actually don't sound as conservative as I thought. You may be conservative, but you're certainly not America first. And my values align with America first, not Israel first, not some other country first. You know, we kind of want Americans to be put first. Anyway, all that to say, this is the debate that's been going on. So this term woke right has been invented by these influencers. I don't know if they're all in a group chat together. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it's been invented. And if you go on X and you type in woke right, you will see every one of the page shills shilling this term. They're trying to discredit people who simply care about telling the truth by calling them woke right. So here's the debate between Andrew Wilson and the Misfit Patriot on some podcast. I'm not familiar with the podcast, but let's go through this and see if Misfit Patriot, one of the paid propagandists, this dude, by the way, with the camo hat, LARPing as one of us, this guy's a fraud, okay? This guy is being paid. This guy is a shill. This guy is not one of us. He LARPs as one of us, okay? And he calls people who are interested in the truth the woke right, including myself. I've had several public beefs with this dude, okay? Let's see if he proves his point. Let's see if he really convinces us that we're the woke right.
Did they hyper focus on race?
Again, you're talking about a different time.
Can you just answer my question, dude?
No, if this is your argument, then you're creating a bullshit argument.
Okay, but can you just listen? I'll answer to your cross examination with yes or no's. Can you do that for me?
Yes, they did, Andrew.
Okay, they did. They hyper focused on race. Do you think that they engaged in identity politics?
They again emphasized individual.
He's talking about the founding fathers here, by the way, just for the record. So Andrew Wilson's trying to set up this argument basically that the woke right that are being labeled as the woke right by people like this loser, that they are actually more like what the founders were than the way they're trying to describe us. So what his argument is, this woke right term, it actually describes the founders of this country, like George Washington.
Rights and moral agency. They didn't want.
So that was identitarianism under the axiom of God, right? The axiom of God was our identity as a Christian nation is that we hold these truths to be self-evident under God, that this people group deserves X rights, right?
I agree, yes.
Okay, so then there would be identitarians for sure, and they practiced identity politics for sure, right?
Identity as a nation.
Well, as a people group as well, because not everybody could participate in the nation unless they were part of certain people groups.
You could say that, yes.
Okay, so then what you have established is that our founding fathers were all woke right by your admission.
If you want to try to fit that square peg in that round hole, by your definition, the founders were woke right.
Well, no, you just conceded that every portion of the definition that you gave applies to the founding fathers, which would include George Washington, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So basically George Washington is woke right?
Yes, Andrew.
Okay.
George Washington is under your definition is woke right.
Well, it's how is it my definition? Did I give you a definition of woke right?
I'm sorry, Andrew. You're right. Under my definition that you utilize
I used.
You manipulate.
How did I manipulate it? I just applied it. I just applied it.
This is how you know he's losing the argument and Andrew Wilson is winning the argument, because now he's saying, "Oh, you're actually just manipulating." No, nobody's manipulating. Oh, we had did Andrew Wilson have a watch up and was trying to hypnotize you? There's no manipulations going on, dude. You just proved his argument. Okay, that's all. Just concede that you lost.
Well, I had to say this in my opening statement. What you do is you manipulate conversation.
That's not manipulation. It's an argument.
How did he manipulate the conversation in any way? He just set up the premise and asked him questions, and he responded.
Yeah. And what I did was a Socratic method in order to apply your definition and see if you consistently would apply it across the board.
Because you asked me a question over and over again if they engaged in identity politics, and I told you they emphasized individual rights.
But those rights didn't apply to everybody, right?
They fought to get rid of slavery, as opposed to what the woke right now is.
Did they fight to give women? Did they fight to give women rights?
At the time, I don't think so.
No. So the thing is that
they were trying to.
Yeah, but if it is the case that you exclude half of the population, that would be pretty identitarian, right?
There was a focus on race, but it wasn't exclusionary. It
wasn't exclusionary. The focus on race by our founders was not exclusionary. Did you say that?
I say that they were trying to end slavery by the founding of this country. They were on their way to working towards a society.
No,
what?
They abolished international slavery and then kept grandfathered slavery in until all of them were dead.
When we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created,
but not women, right?
Yeah, exactly. You're talking about a different time.
Yeah,
again,
so not all women. So then it's exclusionary definitionally, right?
If you view this argument through the lens of 1776, my definition and yours can be taken as woke right. If you use this framing tactic.
Yeah, so it's not a framing tactic, it's just applying it. So if I were to say, for instance, would you consider of course no, I'm just reducing. It is true that I'm reducing the argument, but the thing is arguments beg to be reduced so that we can see if they're consistent. When we move back, for instance, if I were to ask you, a lot of the founders, you agree with me, like Thomas Jefferson, were deists, right?
Yeah, there was a couple.
Yeah, they were deists. You wouldn't say that those are Christians, would you?
No.
Okay, but even though that at the time, right, the way that Christianity was practiced in the United States, far different than it is now, but you can still make the application for consistency as to what a Christian was or wasn't. Your idea of woke right is taking a descriptor of behaviors, and then with the descriptor of behaviors, you're trying to assign it a label, in this case, woke right. That's fine to do, but the descriptor needs to apply across all groups. So otherwise,
but it's beyond that. It's not just a descriptor. This is an orchestrated attempt to discredit people who are speaking the truth. This is an orchestrated attempt to make mainstream MAGA not even want to listen to any of the points that these quote woke right people, who are the actual truthers in this movement, have to say. It's far more sinister than just, oh, you're just name calling. No. This is so much deeper than this. This is trying to win the information war. They've lost it, or they're on the brink of losing it. And the majority of people are waking up and they're not listening to Misfit Patriot, okay? They're not listening to that. They're listening to the people who are banned from every platform. They're listening to the people who are put on no-fly lists. They're listening to the people who are not invited to the galas and these political conventions. That's who they're listening to, and that's why they came up with this label, woke right, to discredit them.
The descriptor's meaningless, doesn't point to anything, because this descriptor's about behavior. It's just like with the trans movement. If you were to say a woman is a woman, is a woman is a woman, it's an infinite regress. So if I said, Misfit Patriot, what is a woman? You said a woman's anybody who identifies as a woman. You've given me an empty label. It doesn't point to anything. When you say woke right, you're saying this points to a pattern of behavior. If that's the case, then by the metric of this pattern of behavior, all of these guys, our entire founding father, all of them would be woke right.
Sure.
So if that's the case, then who's closer to the ideals of the founding fathers, you or the fucking Groypers?
I would say me, because I don't ask for authoritarian. I don't ask for laws to be changed.
They did.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
They set these laws, right? So we started with, these are the American laws, right? The founders founded the law. They didn't try to change the laws that they founded. They founded the laws that we are supposed to abide by. Okay, so they're trying to change the laws of the founders.
No, they're not. Listen here, like, I'll give you an example. And the thing is, I'm not a Groyper, but this is so silly. It's so easy. It's so easy for me to dismantle it.
I said you were woke right adjacent.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying, like, I'm not even a Groyper, and this still is just so easy to dismantle. It makes no sense. So if we go through this, when you say, well, our founders are trying to give us laws we can't dismantle, that's just factually not true. They gave they gave us multiple amendment processes to do this. Like, for instance, we have the 19th Amendment. We have the 18th Amendment, right, which was the prohibition on alcohol. We have, I mean, I could go through line after line. The same thing with the 10th Amendment, which gave states all sorts of appropriate rights to change, including the state religion if they wanted to. So it's like, how could you even make this argument that...
He makes this argument because he's stupid, he's a shill, and he's being paid to do that. And he's most likely of the same tribe that's controlling our government. Okay, so... to get away from all of that, yes, that was a fun argument. It goes on and on and on and on. There's no arguing with these people, okay? You're never going to change the mind of somebody who is being paid to believe the opposite, okay? That's just the bottom line, okay? I'm sorry, but that's never going to happen. So don't even waste your time. Literally, do not even waste your time. The important thing is to realize that for years, it's been the lefties that label people so they can discredit you. You're racist, you're a misogynist, you're sexist, you're homophobic, you're whatever. As a way of getting you out of the conversation, having people not listen to what you say, and painting you as a fanatic. Well, that's exactly what the right wing is now doing to the true right wing America First people. That's what's actually going on. And that's a very interesting split that's happening within the MAGA movement, within the right wing, is people are now branching off, and they're either becoming nationalists because they really care about their country and they realize that these, quote, conservatives and Republicans are selling them out. And so the only way to save their country is to go in that direction, or it's people being paid, okay? And that's why when you see this rise of labels and you see people all kind of parodying the exact same thing, like almost verbatim what somebody else tweeted, you can almost be 99% sure that the memo went out. They're either being paid to do this or they're all in a group chat, okay? They're all in a group chat and they're literally being fed the propaganda, or they're being paid by companies who put out these campaigns. And where that's coming from, whether it's coming from the Republicans or the Democrats or the people who are actually controlling both parties, who knows? All you should know is if somebody, I love how, by the way, he's talking about we all should be individuals. Meanwhile, he's parodying the exact same thing that all his friends are. So very individualist of you. All that to say, this is a good reminder to keep your eyes out for people who are trying to label their opponents. Labeling their opponents is a way of discrediting them so no one will listen to what they have to say. That's what's going on the mass scale. keep an eye out for it. I hope you enjoyed this video. That wasn't quite as fiery of a debate as I would have thought, but it kind of exemplifies everything that's really going on. And if you are actually interested in learning the truth, it is important to kind of know the tactics that these people use to suppress the truth, because they can LARP as a Republican, they can LARP as a conservative, all they want, but they're not, because they're employing the exact same tactics as the Marxist left has been using for years. So you know they're not on your side. Anyway, have a good one, and like, subscribe, share the videos. I don't know, I'm supposed to say that. It's supposed to help. I don't really like saying that though. It sounds dumb, but have a good one.